Welcome back, makeup family. Today we're talking about cool tone neutral palettes, all of my favorites, and I am so glad that companies are beginning to make more of them, because when I started out, cool tone neutrals have been my favorite for so long, but there were so few of them. Like last year, you had to really scrape to get a really cool tone neutral palette, and now we just have this wonderful plethora of options, and I can't wait to share with you my favorites because we've got some really great ones now, and it just seems like company after company is like hooking us up with all these really great palettes. And that's a cool tone neutral look that I did today, and I just love it. It turned out really cute. So I'm gonna go from I shouldn't even say my least favorite to most favorite, because they're my top favorite palettes. I have other cool tone neutral palettes, but these are my top 5 favorite, and these are all great. I love them all, but in the order that I love them, I'm going to show them to you. So first up was this Venus XS in the color Silver that I got. And when there weren't that many neutral palettes, I think this came out last year, and there weren't that many cool tone neutral palettes on the market, and I saw this and I was like, ooh, yes. And I can't be mad. I'm not gonna forsake it now, because for a minute it was all I had. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you these really nice purpley neutral colors. It has 2 mattes, like a purpley matte and then a cool toned taupey pink, and then a silver shimmer. And the shimmers on this are not, you know, they have to be built up a little bit. They're definitely not what I would consider like, oh, but when it was one of my only cool tone neutral palettes, I was building that shimmer up, and I was not really tripping about it. Okay. There are the swatches. There we go. Those are this purpley matte color, this taupey beige color, a pinky taupe color, I'm sorry, and then the 2 shimmers in the palette. And it was just a great starter sort of cool tone neutral palette, and I really love it. You know, it's blendable. It was pretty easy to work with. The color built up nicely on my lids, and it just created a really pretty look. That's the Venus XS in the color Silver. So that's sort of the starting point. The next one is the Pat McGrath Platinum Bronze, which is, how beautiful the packaging is. This particular 6-pan palette, there she is right there. Again, cool tone neutrals, all these really lovely like purpley cool tone grays, and 3 of the colors in this Platinum Bronze have been released as singles in her Idols collection. And I'm gonna swatch those for you. There's Deep Velvet, which is this really nice, deep, cool toned brown, Sextrovert, and Telepathic Taupe. Let me get them correct. Velvet's here. Okay, Telepathic Taupe is the lighter one. I always get these mixed up. So this is Telepathic Taupe, which is such a really unique platinum bronze color. This is Sextrovert, and this is Deep Velvet. These 3 have just been released, so that's half of the Platinum Bronze palette. They've just been released as singles, and this is not terribly cool toned. I consider this more of a neutral bronze, this Sextrovert shade, but this Telepathic Taupe is very unique. It has just sort of a green shift to it, like a dirty platinum. It's really pretty, and I don't have a dupe in my collection that I'm aware of. If you don't have this palette, I think this palette is still available. If you liked these 2 shades, you will pay $50 just for these 2 shades in singles. And if you like the 3 shades, you would pay $75, but the entire palette you can get for $55, which is, in comparison, a great deal. But if you don't have this palette and you just wanted to pick up 1 or 2 of these colors, then these 3 are available. They're gorgeous. But I would consider these. The reason why these are lower down in my ranking, the formula is great, the blendability and pigmentation is great. It's that they are more neutral to cool tone. They aren't super duper cool tone. And I like the icy gray, black, very cool tone. There's something about cool tone neutrals and the way it plays against my very golden skin that I just, I find it very flattering. I love the way it looks in an eye look, and it's just beautiful to me. I love a cool tone neutral. So the reason why this is ranked a little bit lower is just because it's more neutral and not so much, it's cool tone, but not as cool toned as some of the ones that I put higher up for this video. I'm gonna wipe those off with some alcohol. Next up, we've got the Mothership. So we have the Subliminal, the Mothership Subliminal, and this is a gorgeous cool tone palette here. And this is very cool toned. It's even more cool toned than I remembered. When I opened it, I was like, oh, wow, that is very cool tone. There's not a warm tone anywhere in the bunch. It's not ambiguous at all. It's got some really great neutral taupes and grays. This is a really nice work-friendly palette. That's a really like light colored taupe. I'm gonna have to look at the color thing because the colors are not listed. And a really nice matte gray. And then this lilac color. Oh, these are so pretty. Okay. Let me get these color names down for you. Okay. This is Ultimate Taupe. This is Depth. And that's a beautiful matte smoky gray. And this is a satin lilac color, and this is called Lilac Dusk. Lilac Dusk. And then there is, and this one is, this Ultimate Taupe is very light. It's a great transition color for somebody like a light to medium skin tone. I know some people, I've heard complaints about how there aren't enough light color transition shades in Pat McGrath's palettes, but this is one of them. This is definitely light enough for somebody my skin tone, somebody lighter than me for sure. It's just a great light transition color. A nice cool bone colored taupe. And then in the Subliminal palette, I want to show you the special shades. I can't resist because they're so beautiful. This VR pink. Just show you VR pink. Beautiful. But it's a beautiful cool tone palette. A lot of really great neutrals. And then when you mix it with the special shades, you know, you can get some really interesting eye looks out of it. But it's a larger palette. This is definitely not something, it's very heavy. I mean, beveled mirror, lacquer, like jewelry box feel to it. I would never travel with this. I would never travel with this. But I believe that this is also still available. It's a great color. I mean, a great color story. And I love this Hero Color Blue Blitz. So that's a really great cool tone neutral palette. one that you may already have in your collection, but you certainly don't have to spend $125 to get a great cool toned neutral palette. Next up, we've got the Sultry palette, and everybody and their mother probably has this palette, and I just have to mention her because it's a great palette, and it came out when nobody else was really, you know, doing lots of a whole entire cool tone neutral palette. And so for Anastasia to come out with this palette, and not only to come out with it, but for the quality to be so amazing, I was just so happy, and so were so many other people. I mean, it's a genuinely cool toned palette, and it's got that nice poppy little coral pop of color that, you know, this is a stunning palette, and all of the accolades that it received have been very well deserved. There's this gray color slate here. I'm gonna swatch that for you. This beautiful cool toned color called Twig, and then this deep brown, this deep cool brown called Dystopian. I mean, this right here is a look in itself, and the pigmentation is so on point. Just, this is a gorgeous palette, and like I said, every good thing that was said about it is very well deserved. This color Bloom, this pop of color, is so much fun. Definitely a spring, summer kind of vibe to that color. And it is just beautiful. I could see these two being great together. I'm going to have to try that. But the Sultry palette is stunning. I would buy that. If you are a lover of cool tone neutrals, you heard it here, and you know that I am a Pat fanatic, a Pat McGrath fanatic. I would rank the Sultry palette over the Mothership Subliminal palette. And the reason why I say that is for the money, for $45. And if I were just a lover of cool tone neutrals, I would pick this all day, every day. If I had to choose and I couldn't get them both, and I was like, you know, and if money were a consideration at all, I would pick this all day, every day. I would pick this over the Subliminal palette because it is just so, it's so versatile and so neutral. There's so many different things that you can do with this palette. And with the Pat McGrath palette, you can get some special, very editorial looks from those special shades. There's so many beautiful things that you can do with this palette, for sure. But if this were just a contest of cool tone neutral palettes, like neutral palettes, I would pick the Sultry palette over the Subliminal if I had to choose. Thank God I didn't have to choose, and I could get them both because I love them both. But I wouldn't hesitate to recommend this to someone. I don't think that, you know, I don't think that there's anybody I've recommended this to that didn't love it and find it to be stunning and didn't get a great deal of use out of it. I would pick this over and over and over again. It's a really great palette. It's so neutral. And that's sort of the thing, you know, whenever you try to say, you know, this is best or this is better, you know, you have to sort of temper your words because it depends on who you are and what you need, whether or not something is better, you know. For somebody like me who has so much makeup and who has hundreds of, probably at least 200 more eyeshadow palettes, then, you know, something like this will be better because this is just unique in my collection, and I don't have anything like this in my collection. But if, you know, I didn't have as much makeup as I do and I just needed a cool tone palette, this would be the recommendation. This is, you know, I could go on and on and on. It's just absolutely lovely. This color Cyborg, I've never swatched this, I don't think, so I want to see what that, ooh, look at that. That's a beautiful shimmer. That's really beautiful. Cyborg. That's this color here. Let me get it right now. Cyborg. That's beautiful. So the, you know, the Anastasia Sultry palette, it goes without saying. I mean, it's beautiful. I highly recommend it. And I think that the price point is also very fair on that particular palette. Okay. And in the number 2 slot, this one is a bit of a cheat because it is the Natasha Denona BiBa palette, which I did feature in my brown neutral palettes. However, this row of cool tone neutrals is what puts it in this #2 spot. This row of cool tone neutrals, there's nothing ambiguous about it. They are clearly and decidedly cool toned, and they are amazing. This is what I'm wearing on my eyes today. I went in with this gorgeous color, this matte gray called Sculpture, and then I blended it out with this color Tusk, and it just created such a beautiful look. I will do this look over and over again. It's so beautiful. Love the cool tone neutrals in this palette. And these two rows, one for warm tone neutral browns, and this one wins for cool tone neutrals. I'm gonna be traveling soon, and I always limit myself to one palette. This is that palette. This is the one that I'm gonna be taking because it has that mix of warm and cool. But this row is what I use today. I just use Tusk and I use Sculpture out of the palette into my crease, and it turned out so beautifully. The only other thing I did is go in with a Steeletto Glitter and Glow in the color Diamond Dust, and put the shimmer over top, and it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful, easy eye look. So easy to do. So let me go ahead and swatch. These are the formula, and you know what? They're not, this is not showing up that great on the back of my hand, but they're very pigmented. I just laid it, and you can see it's more pigmented on my eye than it is on the swatch. And that's how the shadows, that's how her mattes do for me. They're so pigmented, and they blend out like butter. It's so beginner friendly, it's not even funny. This color Tusk, and this is Sculpture. And then I'll just swatch this color here. It's called Tour, and the swatches, also, I don't know, maybe after I wipe my hand down with alcohol, the swatches are just not doing this palette the kind of justice it deserves, because on the lid, it shows up so pigmented. And that's the thing, you know, swatches, they give you a lot of information. They give you a good sense of a color and the undertones of something, but sometimes they really just don't do a shadow justice. And in this case, with these cool tone neutrals, the way that they swatch and the way that they actually perform and show up on the eye, it's like night and day. I love this palette. I can't say enough good things about it, but that row of cool tone neutrals is definitely among my favorites. So for the #1 palette, and the black that I went into the outer corner, and then the white matte that I used, is from my favorite cool tone neutral palette, and that is the Marc Jacobs Stiletto palette. It's stunning. I mean, it came out last month, and this has been on steady rotation. This produces the most beautiful eye looks. It's easy. The mattes in here are thin and silky and very pigmented, and it just makes for a really easy eyeshadow application. And the look that you get, it turns out so stunning and so beautiful, but the amount of effort that you have to put into blending and placing the color, it's just not there. The effort is not something that you have to put into making this look stunning. It's a really, really user-friendly, beginner-friendly palette, and I just love it. The matte white is called Rule. I love how the Marc Jacobs palettes, you read the color names from left to right, and it gives a sentence. It says, rule the concrete jungle. Sidewalks become sparkling catwalks. Those are the names of the colors. So this matte white is a Rule. And you know what? You can get a sense of it, but for some reason, everything's coming up. It's coming out very light on the back of my hand. Let me try. But these purple, kind of smoky, deep, neutral colors are so in my wheelhouse. I just love them. Here are a few of the colors. And it looks very much like the way the Natasha Denona ones swatched. But trust me when I tell you, these are pigmented AF, and they blend like a dream, and they're just beautiful. Just really, really beautiful. I would take just this on vacation. I could probably get away with that. But this is just beautiful. And this shimmer right here, there's a really unique shimmer color. It's this pressed glitter color here called Sparkling, which is very appropriately named. That looks a little bit like Lilac Dusk that I just showed you from the McGrath Mothership palette. That's beautiful. It's called Sparkling. It's not chunky, it's smooth, and usually when you see like a chunky kind of glitter like that in a pan, usually that means that, you know, you're gonna see some chunky texture or whatever, but there's nothing like that. And these are just, this is stunning, just beautiful. The Marc Jacobs Stiletto palette, my #1 cool tone neutral palette. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, like and comment below, and I will see you on the very next one.